If you've scrolled through health videos or social media lately, you may have seen a surprising claim floating around. People warning that a common vegetable can cause deadly blood clots in your brain. It's the kind of headline that grabs your attention immediately. And for many older adults, it sparks real concern. After all, when you're focused on staying healthy and independent, anything that sounds like a hidden danger in your food can create worry. But here's the truth, the story behind these claims is far more interesting and far more reassuring than the viral warnings make it seem. Today, we're going to walk through the facts, the myths, and the practical steps you can take to protect your brain health without falling for fear-based messages before we dive in. If you enjoy simple, science-based wellness tips for aging well, nutrition, memory support, gentle exercises, and everyday habits to stay strong, make sure to subscribe to Senior Wellness Daily. And if you find today's discussion helpful, a like or comment really helps our community grow. Now, back to this so-called dangerous vegetable. These claims often show up with dramatic music, blurry medical images, and urgent warnings. But nearly every time, the videos avoid offering real evidence. There's no doctor explaining the mechanism. There's no study being quoted. There's no context. It's just fear. And that's a shame, because vegetables remain one of the most powerful tools we have for staying mentally sharp and physically steady as we age. But the rumor gives us a chance to explore something important: why these claims appear, what makes them believable, and how older adults can sort truth from sensationalism without feeling overwhelmed. Let's start with something many of us have learned from experience. Whenever you heard health advice decades ago from a trusted doctor, from your parents, or from a classic nutrition book, it usually came with an explanation. Maybe they told you that too much salt could raise blood pressure, or that leafy greens support healthy digestion. But today's digital environment works differently. A video only needs 5 seconds to convince someone that danger is lurking in their kitchen. And unfortunately, the more dramatic the claim, the faster it spreads. Many older adults have told me they've stopped eating certain foods not because of evidence, but because a video scared them. That's a real problem, especially when misinformation pushes people away from the foods that could actually support their longevity. So, what's behind these vegetable clot rumors? In most cases, viral posts take a small kernel of truth, usually a study about a specific compound in a food, and then stretch it far beyond what the science actually shows. For example, many cruciferous vegetables contain natural chemicals that the body must break down, but that doesn't make them dangerous. Garlic and onions contain sulfur compounds that smell strong but often benefit heart health. Nightshades, like tomatoes or eggplants, sometimes get blamed for inflammation, even though most people tolerate them perfectly well. And leafy greens, one of the groups most frequently targeted in these scary videos, actually contain nutrients that help keep blood flowing smoothly. It's ironic that vegetables accused of causing clots are the very foods shown in decades of research to support healthy circulation. But the fear works because the brain is designed to pay attention to threats. Especially as we get older and become more aware of health changes, blood pressure, memory shifts, joint aches, warnings feel louder. The internet knows this. That's why it sends you dramatic headlines, especially if you've searched for health information before. But here's the empowering part. Once you recognize the pattern, you start seeing these claims for what they are: attention-grabbing stories, not medical advice. Still, this topic opens the door to a thoughtful and reassuring conversation about blood clots themselves, how they form, and what truly influences your risk. If you're over 45 or approaching retirement age, it's good to understand these things, not to be afraid, but to feel more in control. Our goal at Senior Wellness Daily is always to give you knowledge that reduces worry, not increases it. The truth is that blood clots in the brain, known as strokes or cerebral venous thrombosis, have well-studied causes. They include things like prolonged inactivity, certain genetic factors, smoking, dehydration, uncontrolled blood pressure, or specific medical conditions. Diet plays a role, yes, but not in the way viral videos suggest. Instead of one dangerous vegetable, Scientists look at long-term eating patterns, whether someone gets enough fiber, whether they consume too many processed foods, whether they get the vitamins needed for healthy blood vessels. Not one vegetable has ever been shown to cause clots in the brain when eaten in normal amounts. In fact, vegetables consistently appear as protective foods in stroke research, but the fears reveal something deeper, a desire to understand how to keep the brain healthy. As we age, brain health becomes one of the top priorities, staying mentally sharp, remembering names, holding conversations with ease, and maintaining independence. And diet absolutely plays a role in that. The problem is simply that the internet often leads with shock rather than helpful guidance. That's where the rest of our conversation today becomes valuable. Because once we separate fiction from reality, we can talk about what vegetables truly do for your brain, how they support your circulation, and which lifestyle habits matter most for preventing clots. And those insights are not only comforting, they're actionable. Now, let's gently shift into what vegetables actually do inside the body, because this is where the real story becomes far more interesting than any viral warning. For decades, nutrition researchers have studied how certain nutrients support healthy blood vessels, reduce inflammation, and keep the brain sharp. And vegetables are consistently among the most beneficial foods in these areas. When you think about circulation, think of your blood vessels like small, flexible highways. Over the years, those highways can stiffen, narrow, or become more prone to developing tiny clots, especially if other factors like high blood pressure, dehydration, or long periods of sitting are present. But vegetables, especially leafy greens and brightly colored produce, contain compounds that help maintain flexibility in those vessels. They provide antioxidants that neutralize oxidative stress and fiber that helps control cholesterol, both of which support long-term vessel health. Many older adults I've spoken to say they didn't always appreciate the importance of these foods earlier in life. Work schedules, raising children, and the general rush of adulthood meant meals were often about convenience, not nourishment. But one of the gifts of getting older is the opportunity to slow down and make more intentional choices. And including vegetables regularly becomes a simple, meaningful way to support the brain without needing special supplements or complicated diets. It's empowering to realize that something as familiar as spinach or broccoli is quietly helping your body function smoothly, especially in places you can't see your arteries, your neurons, your memory centers. Of course, the fear around vegetables usually centers on specific compounds. People hear words like oxalates, lectins, or nitrates and immediately associate them with danger. But in everyday amounts, these compounds are not harmful for most people. In fact, your body is well equipped to process them. Oxalates, for example, are found in spinach and beets. While extremely high consumption may contribute to kidney stones in a small number of people, the amounts found in normal meals are far from dangerous. Lectins, often discussed in diet books, are largely neutralized by cooking, and nitrates in vegetables actually convert into nitric oxide, which helps relax blood vessels, improving blood flow to the brain. Isn't it remarkable how something portrayed as harmful in a quick online video is often, when you look deeper, a quiet helper for your cardiovascular health? Another point worth mentioning is the difference between a single food and a pattern of eating. When doctors look at stroke risk or clot formation, they don't look at whether someone ate a tomato or a piece of broccoli. They look at long-term habits. Do you include a variety of colorful plants in your weekly meals? Do you balance your salt intake? Do you choose whole foods more often than processed ones? These patterns matter far more than any individual vegetable. And that's an incredibly freeing realization. You don't have to fear one item in your fridge. Instead, you can focus on building a lifestyle that supports your goals, staying active, sharp, and independent for years to come. Let's also talk about the emotional side of these viral claims. When you hear that your food might harm you, especially as you get older and take your health seriously, the anxiety can linger. Maybe you've opened your refrigerator and hesitated before cutting up a salad. Maybe you've thrown out foods you once enjoyed because you weren't sure whom to trust. If that sounds familiar, please know you're not alone. Many older adults experience this exact uncertainty. The internet gives us more information than ever, but it doesn't always give us guidance. It doesn't sit with you, talk with you, or consider your personal health history. But that's one of the reasons Senior Wellness Daily exists, to offer gentle, practical clarity in a world full of noise. And here's a piece of clarity that should bring real comfort. The vegetables you enjoy are some of the most supportive foods for brain and heart health. Leafy greens like kale, romaine, and arugula provide folate and vitamin K, which are linked to better memory and slower cognitive decline. Tomatoes contain lycopene, which helps reduce oxidative stress in brain cells. Broccoli offers vitamin C and compounds that support detoxification. Even potatoes, often criticized online, offer potassium, which helps regulate blood pressure. Instead of harming your brain, these foods nourish it, but diet is just one part of the picture. In truth, one of the biggest risk factors for blood clots in the brain isn't food, it's inactivity. Sitting for long periods without moving your legs can slow circulation. Many older adults experience this on long car rides, during long flights, or even during television marathons. That's why simple, gentle movements, ankle circles, marching in place, stretching can do wonders for your blood flow. The human body is designed to move, and even a few minutes every hour keeps your blood from pooling. Paired with a diet rich in vegetables, movement becomes one of the most powerful tools to protect your brain as you age. Another factor is hydration. Many seniors unintentionally drink too little water, either because they don't feel as thirsty anymore or because they want to avoid frequent bathroom trips. But hydration is essential for healthy blood consistency. If your blood becomes too thick because you're dehydrated, the risk of clotting increases. Vegetables help here as well. Many contain high water content, adding hydration through food. Cucumbers, celery, tomatoes, and leafy greens all contribute to your daily fluid intake. Instead of posing a danger, they quietly support your body's natural rhythm. Now, let's explore why these fear-based claims may feel especially persuasive to adults over 45. When you're younger, you tend to feel invincible. Health issues seem distant. But as you enter your 50s, 60s, and beyond, you become more aware of your body's signals. A headache feels different than it used to. You think more about heart health, memory, balance, and independence. This extra awareness is healthy. It encourages you to make better choices. But it can also make you more vulnerable to alarming messages. And that's why learning how to interpret health claims is so empowering. Instead of reacting out of fear, you respond with knowledge. So here's a simple guideline that many wellness experts recommend. Anytime a video claims that one common food causes sudden illness or death, approach it with caution. Especially if the video doesn't offer sources, reasoning, or explanations from qualified professionals. Real science rarely uses dramatic language. It doesn't say, "This food will kill you," or "Never eat this again." Instead, it offers balance, context, and nuance, exactly what we aim to provide here. By the way, if any part of this discussion is easing your mind, or if you've ever been confused by health claims online, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Your experiences help others feel less alone, and your voice strengthens our growing community. As we move into the next part of this script, we'll explore the real risk factors for blood clots, the lifestyle habits that truly keep your brain healthy, and how to build a daily routine that supports longevity without fear or confusion. And I think you'll find that the science behind all of this is not only reassuring, it's deeply motivating. So now that we've cleared away the fog of misinformation, let's talk honestly about what truly influences brain health and clot risk as we age. This part of the conversation often surprises people, because once you remove the idea of a dangerous vegetable, what you're left with are simple, manageable habits that have a far greater impact than any single food ever could. And when you understand these factors, you begin to feel more capable, more resilient, and more confident in the choices you make each day. One of the most important influences on clot formation is blood pressure. High blood pressure can weaken and damage the lining of blood vessels over time, making them more likely to develop blockages. It's a quiet issue, often with no symptoms at all, which is why so many adults don't realize they have it until later in life. But here's the encouraging part. Vegetables, yes. The very foods some videos warn you about are consistently shown to help lower blood pressure. Their potassium, magnesium, fiber, and antioxidants all support smoother vessel function. So instead of avoiding them, including these foods regularly is one of the simplest ways to support your brain. Stress is another factor. Chronic stress can raise inflammation levels, alter your hormones, and tighten blood vessels. Many older adults carry stress in invisible ways, caring for aging parents, supporting grown children, navigating retirement, or adjusting to new limitations in mobility. All of these pressures weigh on the mind and body. And if you've ever noticed your shoulders tightening, your heart beating faster, or your sleep becoming fragmented during stressful periods, you felt some of these effects firsthand. But vegetables help here as well. They don't remove stress, of course, but they supply the nutrients your brain needs to process stress more effectively. B vitamins and leafy greens help maintain healthy nerve function. Antioxidants in colorful vegetables reduce oxidative stress in the brain. And fiber supports gut health, which in turn influences mood. The more we learn about the gut-brain connection, the clearer the picture becomes. A balanced diet rich in vegetables is one of the quietest, gentlest forms of self-care. Physical activity also plays a major role in clot prevention. A simple walk can increase circulation, support heart function, and improve mood in ways that no viral headline will ever mention. Many older adults believe that exercise has to be intense to be useful, but science consistently proves otherwise. Gentle, consistent movement like walking, stretching, light resistance training, or even gardening improves blood flow and supports vascular health. Think about how your body feels after you've been sitting for a long time. Your legs can feel heavy or stiff. Your back tightens. Your energy drops. That's your body's way of telling you it needs movement to keep blood flowing. And here's where your daily routine truly matters. Even 2 or 3 minutes of movement every hour can dramatically reduce clot risk. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can march in place during commercials, stretch your arms overhead, or take quick laps around your home. Each movement reminds your body to circulate blood efficiently. Another overlooked factor is sleep. Poor or inconsistent sleep affects blood pressure, inflammation, and even the way your brain cleans itself at night. Scientists discovered something called the glymphatic system, a kind of cleaning cycle the brain uses during deep sleep to clear waste products. When you sleep well, your brain gets a nightly refresh. When you don't, inflammation and vascular strain may increase over time. And guess what supports better sleep? A diet rich in vegetables. Foods high in magnesium like leafy greens can support relaxation. Vegetables also help regulate blood sugar levels, preventing nighttime crashes or spikes that disrupt sleep. Again, reality is far more comforting than fear-based messaging. Vegetables are not the villains of your health. They are partners in your well-being. Now, let's talk briefly about what truly causes blood clots in the brain. Science has identified several clear risk factors: smoking, certain medications or medical conditions, genetic factors, prolonged immobility, severe dehydration, and uncontrolled chronic illnesses like diabetes. None of these are fun to think about, but they give us something essential: clarity. Once you know the real contributors, you stop being afraid of everyday foods and start focusing on habits you can actually control. If you stay hydrated, move regularly, manage your blood pressure, and nourish your body with whole foods, you greatly reduce your risk. And vegetables play a consistent role in all of those areas. This brings us to a powerful mindset shift. Instead of trying to avoid danger, which leads to worry and confusion, you can focus on adding support foods, habits, and routines that strengthen your body day by day. Think about the times in your life when you've built a habit that made you feel better. Maybe it was drinking more water, walking each morning, or preparing a simple salad daily. Those habits weren't about avoiding catastrophe. They were about cultivating strength. And that's what healthy aging is all about: finding the small, meaningful steps that help you stay independent, stable, and mentally clear. Many older adults have shared with me that once they shift their focus from fear to nourishment, eating becomes enjoyable again. They choose foods because they help them feel energized instead of because they're afraid of the alternatives. They start to notice how their body responds to better routines. Sleep improves. Digestion feels smoother. Morning stiffness decreases. Anxiety fades a bit. These benefits often appear quietly, but they add up to a stronger, steadier version of yourself. And that's exactly what our channel, Senior Wellness Daily, hopes to encourage: a lifestyle built on calm, confidence, and clarity. One more thing we should address is the influence of well-known diet books and health documentaries. Some of them introduce helpful ideas, while others dramatize risks to sell more copies or attract more viewers. You may have read a book that warned you about certain vegetables or plant compounds. You may have watched a documentary that claimed lectins or oxalates were responsible for a wide range of illnesses. It's completely understandable to feel confused after hearing these messages. But it's important to remember that many extreme dietary claims don't reflect the full body of scientific evidence. They're often based on selective interpretations or on studies conducted in test tubes or animals, not in everyday people eating normal amounts of food. For most adults, especially older adults who need steady sources of vitamins and minerals, eliminating entire categories of vegetables can actually do more harm than good. Instead, balance is the key. Variety is the key. Listening to your body is the key. And trusting information that aligns with long-term, consistent scientific consensus, not quick online trends, will always serve you best. The more you learn, the easier it becomes to recognize which messages support your health and which ones attempt to manipulate your fears. In the next part of our script, we'll bring everything together: how to build meals that support circulation and memory, gentle movements that protect your brain, and daily habits that keep you strong and independent for years to come. And by the end, I think you'll feel not only reassured, but inspired. Now that we've explored how vegetables support your brain and why the viral claims don't hold up, let's bring everything into a practical, everyday perspective. Because at the end of the day, what most of us want isn't complicated. We want to feel steady on our feet, stay sharp enough to enjoy conversations, remember the details that matter, and keep the freedom to live life on our own terms. And the beautiful thing is, many of the habits that protect brain health are gentle, accessible, and surprisingly enjoyable once you make them part of your rhythm. Let's start with meals. You don't need a strict or trendy diet to support your brain and reduce clot risks. In fact, some of the healthiest eating patterns for older adults are the simplest. Many longevity researchers talk about something called the 3 colors rule. It's not a diet, but a reminder. Try to include 3 naturally colored food screens: reds, yellows, oranges, or purples in your meals each day. This works because natural colors in vegetables come from different antioxidants. Greens often support circulation and detoxification. Reds and purples help reduce inflammation. Oranges provide compounds that support vision and brain function. And when you include these foods regularly, you nourish multiple systems at once without even thinking about it. For example, a quick lunch might be a mix of leafy greens, cherry tomatoes, and roasted sweet potato. A warm dinner could include steamed broccoli, sautéed peppers, or a side of roasted vegetables with garlic. These are not complicated meals. They don't require gourmet skills. But they deliver nutrients your brain and blood vessels rely on. And as many older adults have told me, once they start preparing simple meals with vegetables, their energy feels more consistent and their digestion becomes smoother. They also notice they feel fuller on fewer calories, which supports a healthy weight, another factor that helps reduce stroke risk. Next, let's talk about gentle movement as a daily protector for your brain. Think about your body like a river system. Movement keeps the rivers flowing, preventing stagnation and buildup. When you take even short walks or move your legs regularly, you're helping your blood distribute oxygen and nutrients throughout the body, including to the brain. You don't need an hour-long workout. Research shows that short but frequent movement can be just as effective, if not more so, for older adults. Try setting a simple habit. Every hour or two, stand up and take 20 to 30 steps. If you're watching a television show, walk during the opening credits or commercial breaks. If you're talking on the phone, pace slowly around your home. These small movements are powerful. They wake up the muscles in your legs, promote healthy circulation, and give your brain a steady flow of oxygen. Many seniors report feeling more alert, more balanced, and more positive when they make this type of movement part of their routine. You can also add what I like to call brain-friendly movements. These include activities that coordinate your eyes, hands, and balance, like gentle dancing, Tai Chi, light yoga, or even simple coordination exercises such as tapping opposite knees or stepping side to side while swinging your arms. These movements don't just boost circulation, they strengthen neural connections. They help your brain stay adaptable, sharp, and youthful. Hydration is another simple but essential pillar of vascular health. Many older adults unintentionally drink much less water than they need, and you may notice signs of this: dry mouth, headaches, fatigue, dizziness, or darker urine. When you don't drink enough water, your blood becomes thicker, making it harder for your heart to pump and easier for clots to form. Fortunately, this is one of the simplest areas to improve. Try drinking a small glass of water when you first wake up. Carry a water bottle with you around the house. Enjoy herbal teas. Choose hydrating foods. Cucumbers, tomatoes, melons, and leafy greens all contribute to your fluid intake without you even realizing it. Another helpful habit is mindful breathing. Stress plays a major role in vascular health, and deep breathing can reduce tension within minutes. Older adults often tell me they underestimate the power of breath. But slow breathing helps relax blood vessels, lower stress hormones, and improve clarity. Try this once a day. Inhale slowly for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and exhale for 6. Doing this for even a minute or two can shift your entire mood. In physiology, let's touch briefly on something many people underestimate: relationships and emotional well-being. Staying socially connected protects your brain more than most supplements ever could. Sharing meals, calling a friend, joining a hobby group, or talking with loved ones can boost your mood and help maintain cognitive strength. Research consistently shows that older adults who maintain strong social connections have better memory, lower inflammation, and reduced risk of stroke and cognitive decline. So while viral videos may warn you about foods, the real protective forces are often much simpler: conversations, laughter, and companionship. You may be thinking, this all sounds doable, but where do I start? Start with one small habit. Maybe this week you add one extra vegetable to your day. Next week, you take a short walk each afternoon. The week after, you focus on drinking water more consistently. Change doesn't have to be overwhelming. In fact, small changes are often the most successful. Aging well is not about perfection, it's about direction. Each step you take toward nourishment, movement, hydration, and connection makes you stronger. And with each of these steps, you can feel confident knowing you don't need to fear the foods you've eaten your entire life. Vegetables are not the enemy. They are quiet allies, supporting your circulation, your memory, and your independence. If anything, the real danger isn't the vegetable, it's the misinformation that distracts you from the habits that truly matter. In the final part of our script, we'll wrap everything together with a calm, empowering conclusion: what to remember, what to ignore, and how to move forward each day with clarity and confidence. We'll tie these ideas back into the mission of Senior Wellness Daily to help you stay positive, active, independent, and mentally strong through simple, science-based habits. By now, you can see just how much more empowering the truth is than the fear-filled messages that spread across the internet. When someone claims that a common vegetable is silently forming blood clots in your brain, it's natural to feel a moment of worry. Health is personal, and as we age, our priorities shift toward preserving energy, mobility, memory, and independence. But once you peel back the dramatic headlines and take a steady look at the real science, a very different picture emerges. Not a picture of hidden dangers in your produce drawer, but one of simple, nourishing habits that help your brain and body stay strong for years to come. As we close this conversation, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned together. Vegetables, especially leafy greens, colorful produce, and antioxidant-rich varieties support circulation, reduce inflammation, and fuel the brain with essential nutrients. Research consistently shows that people who include a wide variety of vegetables in their meals experience better cardiovascular health, sharper cognition, and a lower risk of stroke. These foods don't create clots. They help prevent them. And that's the kind of knowledge that restores confidence, eases unnecessary fears, and allows you to enjoy your meals without second-guessing every bite. It's also worth remembering that most fear-based claims online are created for attention, not for education. When you see a dramatic headline about a deadly vegetable, it's usually designed to trigger an emotional reaction, not to offer guidance. Real science, real doctors, and real long-term studies paint a steadier picture, one in which healthy aging comes from consistent habits, not from avoiding one particular food. That alone can help you breathe a little easier and trust your instincts. Again, as we walk more deeply into the world of healthy aging, it becomes clear that the habits that protect your brain are not glamorous or extreme. They're gentle. They're familiar. They're accessible to almost everyone. A daily walk, a colorful meal, a glass of water before breakfast, a moment of slow breathing, a conversation with someone you care about. These simple actions form the foundation of independence, strength, and mental clarity. And every time you choose one, you're quietly investing in your future self. Another important takeaway from today's topic is that knowledge brings peace. Many older adults feel overwhelmed by conflicting advice. One expert tells you to avoid lectins. Another warns you about nightshades. Another insists oxalates are the problem. It's easy to feel confused or even discouraged. But when you step back, you start to notice a pattern. The healthiest aging populations in the world, people who routinely live independent, active, lives into their 80s and 90s, eat vegetables daily. They move their bodies naturally. They stay connected to their communities. They don't live in fear of their food. They practice balance, not restriction. And that's a powerful reminder that wellness doesn't come from chasing every new warning. It comes from following a steady, nourishing path. If today's discussion has eased your mind or given you a sense of direction, take that as a sign that you're already on the right track. You're learning. You're questioning. You're taking ownership of your health. That mindset alone separates you from the noise online and guides you toward choices that truly matter. And with each new day, you have an opportunity to strengthen your body, support your mind, and build routines that help you feel capable and in control. You might even begin to notice how your body responds as you embrace these ideas. Maybe after adding more vegetables to your meals, your digestion feels smoother or your energy more stable. Maybe after walking daily, your balance feels steadier. Maybe after drinking more water, you feel clearer and less fatigued. Progress doesn't always shout, it whispers. And those whispers are worth listening to. Before we finish, I want to thank you for spending this time with Senior Wellness Daily. Our mission is simple: to bring you calm, clear, science-based guidance that supports your mobility, memory, relationships, and overall well-being. We know aging comes with both gifts and challenges, and we're here to walk with you through all of it. If this video brought you reassurance or clarity, please take a moment to subscribe, like, or share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice helps others feel supported. And together we build a community that believes aging can be strong, positive, and full of possibility. So the next time you hear someone try to scare you away from vegetables, remember what's real. These foods have supported humans for thousands of years. They nourish your circulation, your nerves, your muscles, and your brain. They are not the enemy fear is. And you now have the tools to see through that fear with calm and confidence. As you go about your day, try adding one colorful vegetable to your next meal. Take a gentle walk. Drink a glass of water. Reach out to someone you care about. Each of these steps strengthens the foundation of a healthier, more independent future. And that's our wish for you: clarity, strength, and a life filled with steady, joyful moments.